Conversations with the Citizen. I am your host, Tia Carroll Jones. I'm here today with Jonathan Swain, candidate for the 1st Congressional District. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a son of the South Side. I was born in South Shore, reared in Hyde Park. I went to school in Chatham. I did youth sports in Roseland, and my wife and I bought our first 2 homes in Auburn Gresham. I had a great opportunity because my father had businesses all over the South Side when I was younger. 83rd and King, 67th and King, 87th and Hermitage. Got a really good chance to see what this district really was and the richness of the historic 1st District. And because of that, I really got a sense as to an environment, a richness of black business, a richness of black entrepreneurship, a richness of black professionals, all in and around the district. That really made me who I am. I spent 20 years in government or related to government, along with 15 years in business. I'm the owner of Kimbark Beverage Shop in Hyde Park. I'm also an entrepreneur. I founded an event called the Hyde Park Brewfest, now Hyde Park Summerfest, which will be happening this year, June 11th and 12th. And most recently, I was the CEO of an organization called Lincoln Unlimited Scholars, a program that actually helped put me and my wife, helped us through high school and helped us get into college. I've been leading that organization for the past 4 years, trying to really helping black young people prepare to not only access college, but to complete college.
Why did you want to run for the 1st Congressional District?
This is a similar moment in our community. All you have to do is talk to friends of ours who say, I can't do this anymore, I have to leave. I'm going to Atlanta, I'm going to Dallas, I'm going to Arizona, or even I'm going to Indiana to go live. This is a moment in our community where it requires leadership. And I think there's been a void of that. Just look at our neighborhoods, look at 79th Street, look at 87th Street, look at Cottage Grove. They're not better than they were 15 years ago, 25 years ago. They're heading in the wrong direction. And so I thought this was an opportunity to take the experience that I've had in business and government and nonprofit work and working with youth and community, bring my voice and my perspective and my approach to the conversation, and to try to help and try to really restore our district to the glory and the attractiveness of what it once was. Because if we don't stop this hemorrhaging of us leaving, it not only hurts Black Chicago, it hurts all of Chicago and all of our region, and puts a pressure on all of us to stay. So I thought it was an opportunity to step in and lend our voice to the conversation for something new and fresh.
What do you think makes you a viable candidate for this office?
Well, I think there's a couple things that make me a viable candidate. A lot of people may not know my name, but most people on the South Side have been impacted in some way by what I've done. Whether that be my work at Link, that's been around for 50 years, that it was helping send black youth exclusively to college. Whether it's been my family business, Kimbark Beverage Shop, that I've owned for almost 15 years, that most folks around town are familiar with, if you say Kimbark. Or whether that's the Hyde Park Brewfest that we started, that it's a good time. It's what I call a woosah moment for us in our community, but it also is a moment where economic activity is created for small black businesses, for women-owned businesses, for jobs that are being created. It creates a moment of activity and a shine on our community that isn't always there. Whether it's any of those things, I've never put myself out front. I let the work speak for me. But if I connect myself to that work, all of a sudden people see the impact I've been having in the community for decades. So that's one side. And then secondly, I point to our fundraising. Last quarter we raised $357,000, which is, though there was another candidate that filed a little bit more money, that candidate recycled their dollars from a previous raise. So in this quarter, we raised the most amount of money. And for a first-time candidate who has never been sought elected office before, and to outraise 2 elected officials and another candidate with a very prominent name, I think that's significant and demonstrates that we have the support of a lot of folks out here. And again, I didn't get sent to this race by anyone. I don't have anybody endorsing me or backing me. I saw a void that I wanted to fill. I asked people to join me in this effort. they join me in this effort, and we can see the fruit. So I think that's what gives me the viability. Still have a long way to go, but I think that's what gives us the viability.
As you said, you were, or are you still the president and the CEO of Link?
I am still I'm still the president and CEO of Link.
Okay.
I have been on a leave because I wanted to make sure we protected. One, I wanted to commit myself full time to the campaign.
Okay.
And then secondly, I want to make sure that there was no confluence of our 501c3 status. So I've taken the leave from Link, but I'm currently the president and CEO. Yes.
Okay. And you are also the co-founder of Black Bench.
Yes.
First of all, could you explain what Black Bench is? And then I wanted to ask you, why is it important for young people to be engaged in matters of local government and politics?
Sure. So the Black Bench was an idea that was born out of a relationship that I had with Alex Sims, who is a political consultant in town.
Right.
We met through our relationship through the Chicago Urban League Impact Program. In fact, I was her mentor in the program. And I was paired with her partly because she wanted to grow her business, and I was a business owner, but the nature of her business was that you needed to understand politics, and I understood politics. So that's why I think they put us together.
Okay.
And we started having conversations that around training grounds for millennials to actually learn how to do politics, how to do public affairs, and what it really meant, and the importance of it, especially as our population is declining. It is important that for people within a particular cohort know each other regardless of their political affiliation or ideology. I was saying to someone else, I was on another show this morning, and I was saying, look, me and the host have known each other for 20 years. So we understand each other. We've watched each other. We kind of know what our perspectives are. We don't always agree, but we have a mutual respect for each other because we've known each other.
Right.
That's one of the things we wanted to create with the Black Bench. Secondly, we wanted to connect the millennial generation to the current leadership. And that's what we did through the relationships between the advisory board and the group. And many of the advisory board members are the ones that came and taught the classes in the program. And lastly, we wanted to connect that millennial group to their history. So Jackie Grimshaw was a co-chair of the effort. And Jackie Grimshaw, as you know, ran many of Harold Washington's campaigns. So it was a powerful moment to have someone who was there in the moment with Harold, communicating that information to a group that some of them hadn't even been born when Harold was around. Because if you experienced Harold Chicago, it was a very different Chicago. So that's what the Black Bench really was about. But to answer your second question about why it's important for young people, look, the numbers show it. I was a commissioner on the Board of Elections, and I got a chance to look at data in a really deep and intimate way. The majority of people that show up to vote on a regular basis typically are 50 and older. Yet the decisions that are being made are going to impact them, but it's also going to impact 30-year-olds and 25-year-olds and 45-year-olds. And those that in all my years of government, I've learned that people that get the response are the people that show up. So if the older groups are showing up, their voices are being heard and the policies are being created to support them, which is wonderful and great. But if the policies are not taking into account the ideas and thoughts and the needs of the 35-year-olds and the 40-year-olds and the 25-year-olds, we're not getting robust policy to serve us all. And so it's important to communicate to our young people, this is why you need to be involved. Because at this moment, if you look at the numbers, this is your world. So if you're a millennial, this is your world. There's more of you all than there is of anybody else. It's important that you lend your voice to the conversation so that you can have your voice at the policy table so that, whatever we develop or whatever we draw up can affect your life, will affect your life positively for the next 25 years.
Speaking of your years in public service with the city of Chicago, what did you learn?
So I learned a little bit, I spoke to in the last question.
Right.
I learned how resources are allocated and how people make determinations about who's going to get what. And the people in government respond to those that show up. And so my candidacy has been talking a lot about centering the voices of people in the conversation and the solutions. A lot of times our elected officials come to us, our leaders come to us and say, this is what I think we should do. And people don't participate in that because the ideas have been thrust upon them. When you include people in solutions, then they include themselves in the work, right? And so as more people participate and more people get involved, and more people show up in the days that matter, election day and others, resources begin to all of a sudden be attracted to you, because those that are in power want to make sure that they stay in power, and they want to make sure they're responsive to those particular groups. At one point in time, that was our power town. Now those power centers have shifted elsewhere, and you see how resources are allocated as such.
How have you engaged the community in the last 4 years?
Well, the last two have been very difficult, obviously, with the pandemic. But even in the midst of the pandemic, that's when we founded the Black Bench. The first sessions of the Black Bench were done virtually. I mean, we're talking about people that are committed to, all-day sessions on Zoom on a Saturday. It's a huge commitment, and we were so grateful to be in the last few times to be able to get together and meet in person. So that's one thing that I've done for the Black community, is to try to pass on knowledge, pass on insight, leadership, and connect community. Really, because that's ultimately what drives a lot of what I do, is connecting people within the community. So that's one thing I've done in the past 2 years. In the past 4 years, I'll talk about my work at Lincoln Unlimited Scholars. I was a board member, board chair. The organization was in the midst of a transition, midst of a turnaround. Our CEO decided to relocate her family to Texas. Again, families leaving to go elsewhere. And I felt I had a responsibility to step in to help strengthen this organization, stabilize it for the next 50 years, so that folks like me and my friends and my wife and others could take advantage of a program exclusively focused on Black students, using non-Black resources to help them get the access and opportunities that they're entitled to in the world. So I'd say that's the second thing. The third thing is something that's been ongoing probably for the past 10, which is the Hyde Park Brewfest / Summerfest. Again, it was born out of listening to the community saying, why do we have to go to the north side to enjoy summertime shop? Why can't we just do it in our neighborhood, in our festival, and on the streets? And so out of that, we created the space to help people enjoy. But again, for me as a business owner, I'm looking at it through a business lens. It's fun to kick it. That's cool. But there's an economics of kicking it, and let's make sure that we take advantage of those economics. So having the vendors and the small business owners and the micro business owners who are there making money off the street because of the demand of people that are there, having people that are working and making extra money that they need for their families, working. And this year we plan to hire almost 200 people for this event, right? Adding to the vendors, the Black vendors that we hire to help us put the event on. I mean, any place where we can, we try to find Black vendors who are able to do that, from the sound folks to the people that manage the stage, the people that manage our security. We want to make sure that dollar is circulating in our community. So that's another part of it. And then this year, we're partnering with a company, BOA Construction, and their nonprofit arm, BOA Gives, and they are matching. We're going to donate 5% of the proceeds to some areas of Chicago Public Schools, and BOA Gives is going to match those dollars. So then it's about also using this engine to give dollars back to our schools, where they may not have their fundraising arms like some other schools around the city who are in more affluent neighborhoods have, to provide ancillary kind of benefits to their school. So those are the couple of things that I've done in the past 4 years that have focused specifically on the community and the Black community in particular.
What do you think is the single most important issue in the district?
Well, the district is diverse, going from 18th and Calumet all the way down to Bourbonnais. I think depending on where you are, the number one issue varies, right? But I think I can say confidently that the top three issues are the same. They just, where they fit in their order changes. Top three issues. One, people don't feel safe. People want to feel safe in their communities. That's one. Two, people are concerned about the increasing in gas prices and food prices and anything that involves moving something from one place to another. People are getting to the ends of their ability to, as I said to someone once, people are concerned that there's more months than they have money, right? And that's becoming increasingly more so every day as we go through this crisis that we're in with inflation. So that's the second thing I think that folks are focused on. And the third thing, people are concerned about their affordability of their health care and the equity of the health care. People are concerned that if I get sick, will I lose my house because I can't pay the bills? They're concerned about that. And then add to the fact that, you have these attacks on, or potential attacks on, women's health care and reproductive rights. People are concerned about that because at the end of the day, even if you had women's reproductive health care everywhere, the numbers say that black women suffer from higher maternal mortality rates, high infant mortality rates, and they're not getting necessarily the benefits. So these are the type of things that we're hearing in and around the district that seem to be consistent everywhere. They just present themselves a little differently, but they're the consistent things. And I think that's what unifies this district, that the needs of all people in the district are really the same, just how the solutions come about are just different.
How important do you think transparency and communication are when it comes to the role of an elected official?
It is absolutely important. It is the most important thing because these seats that we sit in are not seats of entitlement. Okay? They are seats that are really the public trust. And so if we are in seats of the public trust, we have to disclose and be open to the public who have given us the ability, granted us the fortune of sitting in these seats. I say all the time, in our politics, sometimes we walk around as if people are entitled to certain seats. No, these are the people's seats. And we're being given a trust to be able to sit in those. We need to take that trust seriously. And so I think that's the case. That's why when I'm elected to Congress, I'm going to build an infrastructure that's going to do two things. One, that I'm going to build an infrastructure of community residents, organizations, experts that are going to continue to hold me accountable every single month and every single day, as opposed to waiting to the 2-year mark and say we'll hold you accountable then. Because what happens? You have a race like this, and the next race no one else runs, and there's no real accountability. I'm going to build an infrastructure so that people can hold me accountable, and that same infrastructure is going to ensure that their voices are centered in our conversation and centered in all my decision making. And so that is how I tend to approach this level of transparency for the work that we're going to do, so people can have a line of sight to everything that we're doing, because that's how they participate, and that's how we get rid of the apathy that we have in our community, and that's how people feel a part of the process. It's all about doing this together, not having one leader, but doing it together.
You kind of already spoke about the attributes and experience you possess that set you apart from the other candidates, but can you expand on that just a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I think it's important to recognize in this race, save one candidate that has a different position on choice, women's choice, that most of us, all of us, agree on the issues. We might have slightly different approaches, but we all agree can see the problems, and we all agree on the issues. So the person that we're going to select for this position is really going to be based on their background, their experience, and their approach. As I talked about in my background, I have 15 years of business experience, entrepreneurial experience, but I also have 20 years of government experience, like I said, most recently being a commissioner on the Board of Elections. I have nonprofit experience in 2 capacities. I've had experience working with young people and understanding the challenges of our own education system as it relates to people in and around the community. I've had community experience. I've been working on Congressional for Father Flagler and St. Sabina for many years. So when you layer all those things together, I think I have the most unique lens to see issues, see problems, see solutions, but also to listen to the community and concretize their ideas into meaningful solutions that produce real results. That's one. And then secondly, I think it's the approach that I'm taking. I clearly understand that I don't have all the answers to all the issues in our community, but I believe collectively we do, and we can collectively come up with answers to solve the problems that we have. And so I'm going to center the community's voice in what we do. Hear from, and so like I said, set up structures so that people can have their voice heard, so they can know that they're seen, they know that they're valued, and know that they matter. So that as we're doing this, we can begin to collectively come together and row in the same way as we turn our community around from the inside out. Because this race is about laying the foundation for the next 25 years of growth. Okay? I'm 46 years old. I'm thinking about what our community will look like when I'm 66, 20 years from now, right? And I want to make sure that we're setting the foundations today so that when I am 66, 20 years from now, I can look back and say, the past 25 years, our community has gotten better, not gotten worse.
Where can people go to find out more about you and your campaign?
Sure. Our website is Swain 4us.com. That's again Swain 4us.com. You can find us there. Our office is on 87th and Cottage Grove in the mall right across from Garrett's Popcorn. You go to Garrett's Popcorn, which I've come to find out a lot of people go to Garrett's Popcorn all hours of the day and night. If you go look right across from Garrett's, you can see our name, Swain, right there on the gate and in the office. But I encourage you, go check out our website, learn more about what we're doing. You know, this is, like I said earlier, this is an important election. You know, this position will connect all of the South Side, Southland, and connect and really be about laying the foundation for the future of what our community looks like in our region for the next 25 years. And so our choice here is not about just getting positions, but it's about selecting a leader that can lay that foundation. And I hope through the work that we've done and what we've proven and shown that we've done and the results that we've produced over the past decades of my work, you believe that I am the leader to galvanize us together and put us on the path collectively to success.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want our audience to know?
Yeah, there is one. Here's one. Regardless of whether you think I am the right candidate, and I hope you think I'm the right candidate, I hope that you would vote for me in this race. I hope you would encourage everyone to vote. It's a unique election in that it's the first election we've had in the summertime. And so the cycle is off, and I think everybody's feeling is off. The weather's really off, but everybody's cycle is off when we talk about elections. And in this election, because there may not be as competitive races at the top of the Democratic ticket, people say, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. No, this election matters significantly. Okay? And when I layer the election between two major events in our community, the Hyde Park Summerfest, where people are going to turn out and show up, and we just announced a new headliner today, and in a minute we'll be announcing another one. People are going to show up to that. A week after the election, not a week after the election, there's the Chosen Few picnic. People are going to show up to that. There are powers at work that want to see us, our voices and our participation and what we have rolled back. What does it say to them if in between two events where we do show up, they have us having a great time, the moment when it decides what decisions are going to be made and what allocations are going to be made for our community, we don't show up. So regardless of whether, I win this election or not, I just want people to show up and vote. And that's my cry for everybody who's connected to this race, and whatever it is, if you think like another candidate better than me, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But if you don't show up, then we have a problem. And I need you to show up.
Okay.
We need you to show up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real